Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of the Automation Summit 2020, powered by SnapLogic. In this session, we're going to talk about how you can supercharge your data and analytics platforms. And we have a stellar customer here today who is going to share his experience. So we have Venu Janga, who is head of architecture uh, for API and integration services at AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca, as you know, is one of the leading pharma companies in the world. And in fact, they are one of the three contenders for a COVID-19 vaccine. And Venu here has been in the IT industry for over 22 years and has experience delivering scalable systems for enterprises. And previously has worked for companies like Biopharma and Verizon. So Venu, first of all, I want to say thanks to you for giving us your time and for willing to uh, for for giving your time to actually share your experiences with the audience today.
Thank you.
And I'm Dhananjay Bapat from the product marketing team at SnapLogic. So, and we are really excited to have everyone in the audience today joining us. So, every organization and every business wants to do three things. They want to get products and services to market faster. They want to provide excellent customer experiences, and they want to get amazing business results. But to do that, business leaders really need critical data, real-time data to make critical decisions. We partnered with Vanson Bond in 2020 where we surveyed IT decision makers across UK and US. And what they told us is that in 52% of the organization, the C-suite is reviewing data on a weekly basis. So that means they really need that real-time data so that they can adjust to the market conditions, they can adjust to the competitive positions and movements quickly. And there is actually a real cost of not doing data management properly. In fact, they reported that around $1 million is lost every year because of poor data management. And as a result, most were seeking to improve their data management solution. So how can a business really provide that real-time data so that the business leaders can take these important decisions? And the answer for that, that is the need of the hour, is to have a versatile and supercharged platform for data automation. So what do we mean by that? That means a platform that can provide automatic data pipelines to do things like data synchronization across applications, data replication from databases to a central repository. So that can be from warehouses that are distributed across the country, or your regional data that is moved to a central HQ repository, or things like data transformation, aggregation, and summarization before things can be put into for analytics, or data preparation for building machine learning models. Another aspect of a data automation platform is something that can provide faster time to value. So something that enables business user self-service, something that has AI assistance so that improves user productivity, something that is a low-code interface so that even non-coders can build effectively and get to insights using that platform, and pre-built connectivity to many apps and data services. And finally, versatility to support all different data types, so streaming, batch, and event-based, as well as support for data, whether it is in the cloud or on-premises. So now that you know what a supercharged data platform looks like, I'm going to hand it over to Venu, who is going to walk us through some of the challenges that AstraZeneca is facing and what their journey to building a supercharged data platform. Venu?
Thanks, Dhananjay. So, hello everyone. So, whoever is in the audience. Thank you all for providing this opportunity to share our challenges and our journey with SnapLogic for over the years. So definitely we are the early adopters for SnapLogic for like the last 4 years. So who we are kind of about AstraZeneca. So as Dhananjay mentioned, like we are into the life sciences. So biopharma with research-based biopharma company with 26 billion in revenue, and then overall it's a multi-billion company, and with 167 active clinical trials. This is one of the like the top productive pipeline in the industry. So 167 clinical trials and 8 in the late stage trials. And we are like 70 employees all over the world. So we have like presence in all the countries and especially the regions. So around 45% of our senior employment is women. So the most diverse company also. So diversity is all, and is our focus in the company. So let's move on.
Right.
So I'll try to highlight like what kind of challenges we had over the before we even when we tried to select the SnapLogic as a vendor in the beginning. So definitely, as he mentioned, as a part of the survey, right? So this is the need. Every company is facing this. Like we need to bring to market faster. So our IT systems has to be agile. So to meet our business needs. So and then the real-time analytics. So we have like several the challenges with the data like ingestion area. So especially we have a lot of several legacy systems. So as the similarly like in any biopharma company, this is the mergers and acquisitions. We have a lot of legacy systems. So in our portfolio, like we need to bring, and again, we work with a lot of third parties on the clinical trials perspective. We work with a lot of third parties. We need to bring the data as soon as possible and then provide to our data scientists, either in the science organization or it's for the sales reps and the commercial organization. So we need to provide to those analytic platforms. So the ingestion is the challenge. So that the problem we try to solve using this the platform when we try to evaluate the SnapLogic. And massive scale, it's like billions of transactions per month, and then it's a globally distributed infrastructure. So we are presence like we have data centers in EMEA, like Europe, and even North America. So we have the customer, like we have the product base for even China. So we have all the infrastructure internally and even on the cloud. So being the cloud first organization, so last 5 years our focus is on a lot of cloud first organization focus. Overall, all the ERP systems we migrated. A lot of systems, even 90-95% move to cloud. So we need a lot of connectivity with those cloud providers, and then need to orchestrate this data from the cloud providers and the internal systems. So this is another seamless connectivity is another challenge. So cost of failure. So in the industry, especially in the regulated industry like pharma, so the cost of failure is high. And again, we need to feed the data to the governments and then even the different organizations quickly. So for that, we need to have proper governance end to end. Otherwise, like we can meet the timelines, and then we need to provide the, see, if you can reduce the time cycle by even a day, makes a lot of difference. So definitely the cost of failure is high. And then complex integration tool sets. With the like overall a lot of inheritance from the previous like the mergers and acquisitions. So we have a lot of technical debt also. So that we need to keep in mind, and then we need to select a tool. Yeah, let's move on, Dhananjay. Next slide. The goals perspective, like yeah, these are the we set specific goals when we are selecting this platform. We evaluated multiple vendors, but again, currently writing on the it's like a petabyte scale data for both clinical and commercial, and then even empowering the business users. This is the key challenge for us. So empowering the business users. So we have different business groups within the organization. We have like 70K, but even around 5K plus IT workforce. So we have several groups like with their different needs. If you take a science organization, there are a lot of data scientists who will be looking for the information on their specific analytics. And in commercial, the sales reps and even the HCP's information and different third-party information, they need to analyze it. So the domain architects and the domain groups specifically, they want to have a self-service access versus central IT doing all the work. for them. So definitely this is one of the challenge we want to solve. So this is our goal with respect to the responding to the markets quickly and self-service, obviously. So previously, definitely with central IT, it used to take months, like maybe 1 to 2 months for a small integration. So now we are doing in a days. So this is one of the challenge. And supporting various arcs, especially the arcs is like we have R&D, commercial ops, especially even supply chain data. If you take examples, every analytical needs, every group's analytical needs are different. So we need to bring from multiple sources faster and then sync up the data as soon as possible and then as real time as possible with multiple protocols. Again, some like message oriented, some are like file based, some are like even directly like connecting with the databases. So this is one another area where we see a lot of potential with the SnapLogic and easily connect with the modern cloud apps. So we have like 95%, as I mentioned, 90%, 95% are like cloud first type right now. So we have Workday, we have Concur, we have like the different the cloud systems like Box for any content management. Even we migrated several like document interfaces from the SharePoint also into the Viva system. So it's like Viva, Salesforce. We have several cloud-based applications. Yep, let's move on.
So you're definitely a cloud first company.
Yeah. So for that, for the goals we set, right? What do we need? So at a high level, why we choose the SnapLogic? So superior ease of use. So it's like there is no IDE required. So previously we used to see all these the big IDE line installations and then continuously. So ease of use, especially just a drag and drop, mainly low code, no code type infrastructure, just a drag and drop with the configurations. So definitely this is adding a lot of time perspective, especially onboarding and then citizen type of integrator. So that is the key for the super ease of use. And then faster time to market. So obviously months to it cut down to even we have some productivity metrics internally. So we are able to see from the legacy to the current. And then the business user self-service. So this is becoming like anyone with a little bit SQL background and then a little bit ETL type of background with the data stage or any other tools. So easily able to pick up and do their pipeline development within the individual business groups with a little guidance. So definitely like this is another the addition. And then what we did is initially we have some challenges, but we had like proper governance and then especially enabling the individual CFIT teams. It's like a customer teams or even the business groups. The connectors perspective, like we have Workday S3s. If you see all these connectors, we're using mostly all these, and then as and when we have some recently, like some HL7, some JMS, and few other connectors also we're using, but it's a heavily used connectors it's displayed here. And unified platform for the data and app integration. So it's a simplified, I think in the architecture, when we, next slide, I will explain like overall how our deployment architecture is. Yeah, let's. Yeah, so initially we started with the Cloudplex. So with the control plane on the Cloudplex. So, but there are a lot of like internal, because if you see like SAP is internally hosted in our data centers, and there are several databases hosted on our internal data centers. Like then when we try to merge the data or the sync the data, like we need because if everything like going back to the cloud and then coming into the on-prem, it's definitely it's a little bit the slowness, and then we observe that, and then the solution perspective, I think in a way we have our ground plexes installed, so that we have ground plexes in all the regions. We have in EMEA and even in North America, so that for any internal connectivity we use the ground plex, and then through the HTTPS tunnel between the ground plex and the cloud plex. And we use several ultraplex also for some distributed and then parallel processing and then heavy computing. Yeah, and we use all the connectors the SaaS connectors here, like we use heavy Salesforce, Viva, especially with respect to the provider's perspective, and then bots. There are several connectors, and then it's easy to use. Like even we monitor, especially the dashboard functionality, and then central monitor for all these executions. This is a key enabler for us. Again, previously we used to log into multiple servers, checking the logs, what is failed, what is not failed. So, and again, we need to, the skills perspective also. The guys with very less skilled are able to monitor these transactions right now. Even previously, we need to have some Linux skills, and they need to log into multiple boxes, and then they need to stitch the transactions from the servers to servers. So definitely, like this is a monitoring perspective. This was even alerting. We have, and recently we integrated this with Splunk also. So this is one of the overall architecture from AstraZeneca perspective. This is how we are using the deployment.
Nice, nice. So it's not just about building pipelines quickly, but also makes it easy to maintain things on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and I will share like maybe kind of some notes in the end. So right. Because these are some lessons learned for us. So yeah, and on the business results perspective, right now even it's like 400 plus users, active users on the platform. Means different groups, business groups are managing their pipelines, they're building their pipelines, but with some governance in place from central IT perspective. So we had some best practices like naming standards, because we have like different regions, different groups. So we don't have like a specific domain for each group type. We have an AstraZeneca domain. Within that, we have different groups or departments kind of. And then the transaction perspective, right now it's almost reaching 50 billion. So 10.1 million for executions per month. So there are a lot of the transactions processed. And again, when it comes to the integration or like the sync up of the data, let's sometimes even it used to take a month, weeks, to definitely now it become days. So, but we are like a heavily regulated company. So for that reason, we need to have some quality process built in, and then we need to have some validation. So that adds up a little bit on the time perspective, but otherwise this is a, so we qualified the platform. So usually we call it as qualifying the platform for running all these regulated transactions.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of the data analytics use cases. So right now, even for all years, we are building multiple pipelines, but preferred method for the rapid ingestion. So we have multiple data lakes internally. So for each business group, we have different the data lakes and then different analytics needs. So everywhere, like the ingestion platform perspective, like the SnapLogic is the preferred one right now internally. So it's in our innovation category. And then there is another use case I can tell is like we have like a lot of instruments on these labs. So there is a digital lab, like we have even thousands of instruments, but we implemented one solution with extracting all the data from all those instrument machines and then put it into S3 bucket for the data lake, so that there is a further processing happens after that, like the tagging of those files and tagging of the instruments. There are a lot happens downstream, but we use for ingestion purpose. We use SnapLogic as an ingestion tool. And wide range of connectors, as I mentioned earlier, we are using the several connectors and then on-prem applications. So mainly we are heavily SAP and then few other internal like the transactions, and then some especially pushing the data into the Redshift. So this is another the key use case. And external vendor collaborations. Being in the pharma industry, like we outsource a lot of studies, and then we partner with external clinical companies, and then we get the data from the universities, several universities, and then government public information also from repositories. We get a lot of data. So we fetch, and so basically we are using for that collaboration also we're using SnapLogic heavy. Even I can say recently for with the Oxford collaboration, also we're using some of the pipelines to extract the data and then push it into the internal platforms.
Right. So you're referring to the COVID-19,
yes,
the vaccine collaboration. Got it.
Basically the consumption side, it will be SAS grid, but we are using for the ingestion of the data and then pulling the data into and then pushing into SAS grid. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, and the data transformation, this is the typical use case we use across many use cases. So right now, overall integrations perspective around 3,000, but if you say pipelines, it's like 18,000 pipelines, but definitely for one integration, maybe we will be using multiple pipelines. But yeah, there is ease of use comes with the penalty of like exploding. So we need to govern properly, and then that is the one challenge I can tell. And then the data warehouses, like especially for the planning and resourcing software for these studies, we push it to data Redshift. So this is one use case we use heavily. And there is another commercial analytics platform for the dehydration we're using. For hydration we're using the SnapLogic.
Got it. So I think so by hydration you mean essentially powering, getting more data into the analytics platform.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we have like a commercial data, like this is actually like the heavy data volume perspective.
Got it.
And summary and key takeaways. So definitely we are being the early adopters. We don't have like these many like customers to share the feedback that time, but right now, so we have a lot of customer base now. So we all can share and collaborate, and then the pain points, what we have, and then see, even I attended multiple sessions and even got feedback from you earlier. And
right.
One thing is delivering the products faster. And then this itself is like overall the citizen type of integration, and then self-service that made us like it's easy, and then connectors, number of connectors, and then drag and drop type of ease of use. And even for the skilled resources also, like anybody with some ETL background or some SQL type of background, so they're able to easily learn. Even we self-trained internal teams. So that is another, so almost we have around 30 plus internal use, but now around 400 plus across the organization. It's become easy for us to federate. So the model perspective, it's like a federated model we are using. So, yeah. And this is the one actually I try always to say, like ease of use, it will explode a lot. Then we need to have proper governance. So definitely product perspective, I think we are able to right now some naming standards, some like shared pipelines, some templates sharing, like how do you extract data from Salesforce? It's a standard template way, so that if you have the template, you can reuse the pipeline. So this is the way, like even the productivity also getting increased versus everybody to reinvent and connect the plumbing for each. And then finally, what I can say is that definitely like choose a partner, not a vendor. So there are several occasions, even we worked with directly with SnapLogic, and then they provided several patches for us, or even maybe the packs or like the connectors for us. Even initially when we try to pull some SharePoint, that time we don't have like a Plex, just we used to use the REST connectors versus. So now we have SnapPlex. So overall, I can say like definitely SnapLogic the partnership worked very well with AstraZeneca so far this journey.
That's good. Excellent.
Any questions even I can answer, yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks,
I think
Dhananjay, yeah.
Yeah, so I think one question definitely comes to my mind. So in terms of getting the stronger governance in place, what is a typical life cycle like for putting a pipeline, for example, or end-to-end integration into production? What different stages does it go through?
So we go through like similar, like we follow the Agile methodology, obviously the Agile framework. So once the user stories are created, then it's like within a sprint, everything end to end should be completed like 2 week sprint. So, and that is again based on the complexity of the logic or like the pipeline kind of. So, but usually within the sprint, we should be able to knock it out.
Got it.
And this comes with including our the testing basically, and even the validation, and then migrating into the platforms. So usually, like what we are doing is, I think even maybe this we already shared the product suggestion. So I think you guys already came up with some CI/CD framework for the overall the deployment, but we are using a little bit differently, and then we are using some of the API to deploy, using the SnapLogic API to deploy. So I think if that framework is available for, because we are using some internal Bitbuckets versus cloud-based. So I think you guys are supporting the cloud.
Right. Yeah.
So that will streamline our process. But overall, I think it's pretty quick.
Got it. And I think in terms of another question with respect to enabling self-service, so what kind of trainings do the end users go to? Do you guys run periodic trainings for these end users, or do you have like something like a wiki to help them out?
We have a wiki page, just it's like a self-explanatory type, and then small videos we have. And then initially we did some enablement sessions, and then those videos are available. So we'll ask anybody new, right? Just we'll ask them to, hey, this is how you create an org structure, or this is how you create a folder structure for your project, and then this is how you name it. The pipeline, like we go by some prefixing based on the region and those things.
Got it.
Yeah. And we have like a one lessons learned type of some Confluence page, which will give you like, so, okay, whenever you are routing, this is how you see, because the best practices perspective, our architects, they populated some repository so that these developers can use type. We don't train them regularly on each and every of these best practices kind of, but mainly on the naming standards, and then how do you deploy it? What is our process for the deployment? So that every onboard, because we onboard a lot of contractors also from the different companies. So to enable them quickly, so we have that training. Yep.
Got it. So it's almost like a self-service, and you have already created a lot of the trainings and documents for them to look at.
Yeah.
But
awesome. Recently, like we started introducing a decision tree kind of, because we want to use fit for purpose type of technology for any use case. So if it is like a reusable and API type of candidate, we are moving towards a different platform for API. And if it is like a batch and like data sync up, and then real-time data sync up type of use cases and batch use cases for ETL, we are using SnapLogic as the preferred tool.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And before we go to more questions from the audience, I'll just want to remind the audience for the resources that they can leverage beyond the summit. So we have a SnapLogic community that you can join. So our existing customers, you can participate in the discussions. You can ask questions to other members who are using a SnapLogic platform. Another resource that you can use is our 101 training workshops. So we have them on a monthly basis, and they're pretty popular. So February 2020 is still open. January is full, and they fill up pretty fast. So I would recommend you reach out to your customer success manager and sign up for one of those training workshops. We also have Snappy Happy Hours. So you can learn about some of the new offerings there from us. And finally, if you are not a SnapLogic customer, you can sign up for our free trial and try the SnapLogic hands-on. So by going to snaplogic.com/free-trial.